The Thermador Masterpiece wall ovens have a generous capacity, full extension racks, and a wonderful soft close door. Much as we love these features, it's actually the cooking modes that this oven offers that makes it a real joy to cook with. My colleague Kathy and I have been teaching people for the last 15 years what to do with these modes. So we're going to take you through those modes and give you some great examples so you can benefit from enjoying every aspect of this great oven. So Kathy, where do we start?
Well, first we need to understand where the heat is coming from with the elements. There are three elements in this oven. You have your concealed lower element, you have your upper broil and brown element, as well as you have a convection element with fan in the rear of the oven.
What's the purpose of the modes then? They're going to combine those different elements?
Yes, each mode combines the elements differently to bake your foods the way you would like.
Well, let's start with baking then, because I can see the oven offers several options.
The bake element is very easy for people because it's what they've been using for a very long time. It's considered the traditional mode. It uses the lower element with a little bit of the top, and you use one rack position in your oven, and you would use the same time and temperature as your recipe calls for. So it makes it much easier to use.
It sounds like it's a dry, stable heat. What are the best types of things to bake in this mode?
Yes, it is a dry, stable heat, and it's really good for quick breads, meringues, souffles, dense cakes. Things like that are very good in the traditional bake mode.
So now we come to convection bake. We know that convection is still very confusing for a lot of people, which is amazing considering it's been a feature of high-end ovens for almost 40 years. So Kathy, how can we get through convection bake?
Oh, it's not too difficult. The difference between convection bake and traditional bake is you have an added convection fan. You still use the bottom element, but you have an added convection fan. So therefore you can bake on multiple levels in your oven at the same time. One of the things with convection is you want to lower your temperature by 25 degrees. You also want to make sure that you're using the correct rack position in your oven.
So Kathy, where do people get that information as to the correct rack position?
Well, of course, the user guide. It has a wealth of information on all of your cooking modes. And we have a great cheat sheet with our Masterpiece oven. There is actually an information icon that you touch and it will tell you what rack positions to use.
So now we come to true convection, yet another great option for baking in the Masterpiece oven.
Well, in the traditional bake and the convection bake, we've been talking about foods that need extra heat from the bottom. In true convection, the convection fan is encircling the hot air throughout the oven, so you can bake on multiple racks at the same time. You can even make 6 racks of cookies at the same time.
All right, so now we're into roasting with convection, and I see we have a convection roast mode and a regular roast mode. So let's start with convection roast. What's the benefit of using this mode?
Convection roast is for meats and poultry, fish, and vegetables. The best part about roasting with convection is moisture retention, as well as you can cook on multiple racks with no flavor transference of foods. Large cuts of meat will cook faster, and so you want to make sure that you use the temperature probe. You also want to use a low-sided pan with a rack in it.
Well, convection roast is definitely the way to go for the lean, tender cuts of meat or for when you want to cook a complete meal at one time. What are the occasions then a person would choose regular roast?
I like to use the roast mode for my short ribs or briskets that are in covered containers. I also use it for brined foods. Timing is definitely traditional. It's going to follow your recipe that you have.
So the great things about the modes in the ovens is that it gives you options. Understanding the science of what's happening during the cooking process will help you choose the correct mode. So once again, with the broil mode, we have options. We have convection broil and we have traditional broil. I'm guessing convection broil involves some moisture retention?
Yes, it does. You have that intense heat from the element as well as the convection fan circulating the air, so you have all that moisture retention with it. I use this mode for thicker cuts of meat, vegetables, and fish. I have 3 important tips for you. One is closed door broiling, preheating for only 3 to 4 minutes, and rack position, very important.
So what do you think about using foil when you're broiling?
Foil, you definitely can use foil, but you want to make sure you turn it upside down so that the shiny part is down, matte side up.
All right, so what about the regular broiling mode? When would we use regular broil over convection broil?
The broil mode is good for quicker cooking foods. It also has low, medium, high settings, so it can fine-tune your garlic bread and your toast.
All right, so the broiling modes are really good, but we haven't finished yet. So speed convection is primarily the mode for frozen convenience foods.
What's great about speed convection is you lose your preheat time. You place your food in the oven and the package says it will be ready in 30 minutes. It will be ready in 30 minutes.
Have you ever used your own homemade convenience frozen foods in this mode?
I do love using my own homemade convenience foods in it, and still it's the same thing. It will cook to what the recipe timing is.
So speed convection is a wonderful mode when you're in a hurry, but remember it's not a primary cooking mode. Only use it for the frozen items for short periods of time.
We've addressed all the major cooking modes in the oven, but there are other features to this oven that you could find helpful, including Easy Cook. Easy Cook is a series of pre-programmed recipes, so if you find yourself confused as to how you should cook your food in the oven, you can use Easy Cook as a fallback.
We've had a comprehensive look at the Thermador Masterpiece oven. Oh, did we mention it's self-cleaning? There's so much you can do with this oven. But the key, Kathy, is?
Know your modes.
Absolutely. Know when to use convection. Remember about the temperature adjustments required when baking with convection. And remember, when you're roasting in convection, low-sided pans and large cuts of meat will cook very quickly.